Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. As Donald has said, I am with UNICEF and I am the advocate for volunteers along with Masako. Arundhati Roy, the acclaimed Indian scholar, activist, and author, once said, "There's really no such thing as the voiceless. They are only the deliberately silenced or the preferably unheard." And this incredibly gifted group of young artists and speakers have demonstrated that they do have a voice. And through their many talents, they have captured and communicated their realities, not only as representatives of their respective youth forums, but really as representatives of 20 million young people in South Africa. They may come in their individual selves, but really they stand here as many. While facing great challenges such as online predators on social media, cyberbullying, child trafficking, unemployment, gender-based violence, poverty, substance abuse, and mental health illnesses such as depression, these young people are still passionate about bettering their circumstances, their communities, and their lives, and leading the bright futures that are certainly within their reach. And of course, they cannot do it alone. Each of us in this vast room are here because we believe in the young people of South Africa, and we have all, in our individual journeys, dedicated our lives to the transformation that will definitely ensure better access to care, education, lives of safety, fulfillment, and joy. And we're here to say to the young people that we have heard you, we affirm the lives that you are leading, and we will certainly do better. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to our wonderful children that have taken part, our delegates. I know we've had representation from 28 countries, but we are in South Africa, so I think it's only right that I try and address everyone in our different languages. So, hello, Lojani, Abusheni, Molweni, Salmonan, Dumelang, Nda. You know, it takes a lot of courage to come up onto the stage and actually perform in front of such a big audience. So I think, firstly, I'd like for all of us to give a really, really big round of applause to each and every one of those kids with those beautiful performances. Beautiful performances, beautiful speeches, beautiful poems, manifestos, resolutions, dances, voices. It was quite incredible and quite inspiring to see. I really enjoyed how the themes were addressed, although somewhat concerning, looking at human trafficking, sexual abuse, substance abuse, physical abuse, depression, teenage pregnancy, suicide, exploitation, I beg your pardon, prejudice, discrimination, cyberbullying, privacy violation through social media, new topics and parts of concern that are creeping up in our 21st century age of technology. Young children and the youth are neither naive nor are they stupid, and it was very clear for us to see that this morning. And I think that's what's quite encouraging. I think what was somewhat concerning, as I'd mentioned earlier, was how we responded as an audience. So it was very convincing and quite humorous. But although positive, these stories and the severity and just how serious they were, there was a lot of laughter and enjoyment from us, almost as a mirror showing us how we've become so desensitized to each of these events that are happening in our community on a daily basis. It was hard to watch it a lot of the time to see how the youth had managed to interpret that and to show us that they see everything that is happening around us. What I really did enjoy was the expression of the arts and just the amount of talent that we managed to see through that. The arts is something that is always sort of, I guess, not taken seriously by society at large. A lot of these young children may want to become performers for the rest of their lives, but they're not so sure because of how they're perceived in society, if that's a direction that they go to, not the conventional careers that they opt for. There's a certain article, Article 31, Paragraph 2, in the Convention of Rights of the Child. And I like that it really highlights the importance of the arts. It says that states parties shall respect and promote the rights of the child to participate fully in cultural and artistic life, and shall encourage the provision of appropriate and equal opportunities of cultural, artistic, recreational, and leisure activities. Something that I love was beautifully explored here and celebrated. Another thing I particularly enjoyed, with that, showing the maturity and level of intelligence of the youth today, was just how beautifully accepted and welcomed that young man was made to feel. And it just so happened that I really wanted to make sure, that I brought up that issue of disability and recognizing the fact that they too deserve to be seen. Once again, another article within the Convention of Rights. States parties recognize that a mentally or physically disabled child should enjoy a full and decent life in conditions which ensure dignity, promote self-reliance, and facilitate the child's active participation in a community. And how beautiful was it that that child was embraced, and he had the confidence to come up here and participate and move each and every one of us through his message, and was made to have a voice because he does have one. So another big round of applause for him, and I think he should be acknowledged for that. The reality is that with the level of intelligence, the level of talent in this room, neither of the youth in this room should be feeling hopeless in any way whatsoever about their future. Children are likely to live up to what we believe of them. It's about time that we truly believe the best of our children and truly show them truly show them that we do believe in them. We hear you, we see you, and you guys, you should be free. Enough is enough. We all need to do better. The youth in Africa, about 60% is below 25 years old. Africa constitutes, I think, of 20% of the global youth population. If we fail them, we fail ourselves. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. What do you say after MAPS has spoken? I mean, the words just disappear. There's just a powerful moment in this room, isn't there? We have discovered a power that is real this morning. Our children told us how powerful we are. Our children have interpreted for us what the word power means. That invisibility is not their pathway. That their faces, their voices, and their presence will be heard and felt. And we have to give space for that. And we have to clear the stages so that they can appear and be seen and heard and felt. And we have to recognize the power that they come with. In May 1996, we adopted a constitution that conferred upon every person in this country inalienable rights. And those rights are theirs as well. The contract we have with our constitution is that we will raise a society that is just, free, able, compassionate, and a great people that live in the southern part of this continent. And our children today have told us that we must heed that call. The call of our constitution to a greatness that surpasses our own individuality, and a greatness that is embodied in broken people, in hurt people, in other gendered people, in people who come from diverse backgrounds, that within those journeys lies our greatest power. And we refuse to step back and allow ourselves to be defined by the smallness and the fears and the criticisms and the hurts that we have suffered on this journey, because we are indeed a great people, and our voices and our presence will be heard and felt throughout the generations who come after us on this continent. Our youth, our children, they are greater than we have ever imagined them to be. Let's salute them this morning. Let's salute the power that we encountered in this room, because that power is undeniable. They've asked us to sponsor them. They've asked us to advance their cause. They've asked us to recognize them, but more importantly than any of those things, they've asked us to believe in them. They've asked us to move beyond the practice of lip service, to believe in them, to trust them enough that they hold dear the same values we hold, in far deeper measures, to trust them with the futures that we want to live in, to trust them that they know the pathways, to trust them that they will be faithful to the terms of our Constitution, to believe in them. And as a funder of the youth conference, which I said to my colleagues here this morning, hearing one story alone today was worth more than the money that we put in. It was worth more than any of the funding we could ever give. One story alone was enough. And to our young people, we want to say, the resolution we make to you is that we believe in you. We as a country, we as a conference, we as a movement believe in you. Because unless we move as a collective, we will not fight this, we will not win this war, this fight against poverty. Poverty must not be seen as punishment. Within our poverty, we will find a new power to build the most progressive democracy on the continent. It is our privilege to have our youth as our partners, as our co-leaders, as our pioneers in this process. Salute to the youth of South Africa.
Thank you to all the program directors and all protocol observed. I stand before you very humbled this morning. I have been to conferences, but this one has really touched me. I sat there with tears in my eyes because I know what these young people are talking about. I have lived through most of the pain. I know what happens in our communities. So I start off by congratulating NACCW for creating a platform where the voices of the future can be heard. And I say to the young people, we have heard you. Really utlwile. Sinivile, sinizwile, ons het geluister. En ons het gehoor. So we are taking what you have said very seriously. I will not stand in front of you and say we have heard when we have not. I represent the South African Human Rights Commission, an institution that supports democracy and that was established through our Constitution. And Section 28 in the Bill of Rights in the Constitution says a child's best interests are of paramount importance in every matter concerning the child. And we as adults know nothing about what children and young people want. And it always breaks my heart when we talk about listening to children and some adults stand up and say, oh, I listen to children every day in my house. It's not that. We can't dismiss it flippantly. We need to take what these young people say. And I made some notes. In one of the poems, one of the young people said, "Oh, Africa, hear my cry." And I added that to that, and I said, the ancestors of this beautiful country must look down on us. Oh, Madiba, Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, all those ancestors that have gone before us, people that shed blood to liberate this country. We are a young democracy, but we've achieved a lot. And we must be proud. We have leaders in this country like you cannot believe. And I'm not talking about political leaders. I'm talking about leaders of organizations such as the NACCW. The people who implement. Because everywhere in the world where you go and you say you come from South Africa, people say, wow, you have a beautiful constitution. However, we need to attend to implementation. And if there is one good example of implementation, is what these young people were telling us. They've identified their challenges and they've come up with solutions. All that they need is for us to hold their hands to make the resources available. So if each one of us uses the strengths that we have. I made a note also that there is a huge role for the arts in promoting, in protecting children's rights, youth rights, human rights in this country. So I will be talking to the Department of Arts and Culture to say these young people need the resources so that they can continue. They can continue to talk to us through the arts. The gifts and the talents that we saw on the stage today are amazing. And these young people need our support. We heard about, and I made a whole lot of notes, homelessness, street children, trying to make a living. I pass those children, especially over weekends. They live in Alex, and I live in Sandton. And I moved to Sandton anyway because I own part of this country. So I have a right to live where I want to live. So I pass those children dancing at traffic lights so that they can beg for money. But we'll come up with a solution for that. The risks that our young people face are immense. For a young person to grow up into adulthood in this country is a challenge. It is a huge challenge. There is abuse, there is violence, drug abuse, and these young people live through it on a daily basis. So reaching adulthood is not guaranteed. We heard about suicide. The scars, the hurts over the years, intergenerational. We have not healed. We have not healed. We still need to find opportunities to heal. We had the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which opened up the wounds, but those wounds have not healed. There's no quick solution. We need to take it intergenerationally. And I love the intergenerational dialogue that has taken place, Mel and Zeni, in this conference, where the elders hand over to the young people. But we need to make sure that the future that we hand over is solid. And we can only do that through mutual respect, through intergenerational dialogue, where we talk and we come up with solutions. Dysfunctional families. But one child in a family can be the savior, can take that child out of poverty. We had a minister for social development a few years ago, Phumzile Mlambo Mngcuka, and she said if she had the power, she would go from house to house and identify one child and look after them so that they can save their family, especially out of poverty. Child trafficking is another challenge that we have to face. So there is a cry for help. Parents need to be empowered to be able to talk to their children. Social media, things that we never knew about. You saw Lebohang and Maps came up with their phones. They made their notes on the phones. Look what Gogo Angie did. Writing. And then there are the challenges faced by the educators, the children, the teachers that educate these children. So we as parents, I have to make sure that the children that leave my family to go into the schools, to go into the tertiary institutions, have the right values. That is my job as a parent, so that the teachers can then continue from there. And then I've made notes of all the challenges from the provinces. I have taken photos, and I go back to the South African Human Rights Commission with some very serious messages that we will communicate to the NACCW, and I have now seen that there is a chain of communication and that those messages will reach the right people. I read this morning a message, WhatsApp sends sometimes very good messages. And one of the messages was, one day the poor will have nothing to eat but the rich. So we need to work together. We need to end the poverty, the inequality in this country where you have extremely rich people and you have families that go to bed hungry. We need to hold hands and work together. So I thank you, I congratulate you, I take my hat off to all of you, for the organizers, the leadership of this organization, but in particular to the young people that have communicated very, very seriously to us this morning through the acts that we saw on stage. Thank you.